Hey there, Friday here. So today I want to mix things up a little bit and I'm going to talk first and ask my question at the end. So work with me. Something I've been thinking about this week, which is kind of interesting and possibly kind of problematic, is why it's hard for me to trust God. And I guess a lot of times you could think about trusting God in the way of, trusting that everything will work out to be okay. But by this trust, I mean the same way that you trust your family or trust your neighbors, that you believe that they have your good at their heart and that they are, trustworthy people. And so sometimes it's hard for me to believe that God is trustworthy. And the reason for this is because God always loves me. Now that sounds kind of obvious, or doesn't make much sense, but here's the way I think of it. I have my life, and then I mess up. God's rules are clearly written in the Bible. They're pretty clear. Some of them are really clear, like don't steal and all those kind of things. Other ones are like, do this, love your neighbor as yourself, and love people sincerely, and all of that stuff. And so what happens is I sometimes don't do all the things the Bible tells me to do, and sometimes I don't love people right, or sometimes I'm selfish, or sometimes you understand. And then I feel like I really messed up, and I feel really bad for not doing what I was supposed to do, and not loving people, or for needing people in a way when I'm only supposed to need God in that sort of way. Things like that happen to me all the time. And the problem with God is, I feel terrible saying the problem with God is, but the problem with God is that He keeps loving me anyway. He's like, I don't care if you messed up again and again and again. I still love you. And that annoys me so much because there should be a limit to how many second chances you get, Like a reasonable limit. Like at some point you're just like, okay, I've had it. You aren't getting this thing. I've had enough giving you grace. But God's not like that. He says I can come back again and again. And on Saturday, I was at a church service and just thinking about a lot of things. I don't remember why specifically it was at church service, but I had all that stuff in my mind. And I was just so frustrated because there are things in my life I try to do, try to love people. Yeah, that's pretty much what most of my problems in life are centered around. But then I can't do it. And then I'm like, God, I'm sorry. I can't believe I keep doing this. I can't believe I keep failing and getting self-centered and getting worked up over this. Because, okay, it would be one thing if I could not be perfect and get over it, but I can't get over it. I always get worked up over it. And I'm just like, seriously, am I ever going to be fixed and better for real? But no, I have to do it all over again. And so it's hard for me that God says, well, it's okay. Every single time you fail, every single time you sin, I'll forgive you. It's really hard for me to accept. And what comes along with this is then I don't trust God with myself. I say, God, if you're just going to keep forgiving me, I don't know. I don't even want to come to Him anymore sometimes. I want to go to people instead and say, well, people, I don't expect them to solve my problems. I don't expect them to love me unconditionally. I think I have really low expectations for people. And so I just want to hug. And I don't want to talk to God because He's just going to be like forgiving me again. Does that make any sense to any of you? Here we go. So what's so hard for me about God forgiving me over and over again is that I feel like He doesn't really love me. He doesn't really care that I've sinned. I feel like if God really cared about me and really cared about my sin, He would punish me more harshly. And so that's kind of why I go to people, because people, if I do something against them, I wrong them, they tell me that hurt me. And then I can apologize. and I can see the relationship restored. But I don't always feel that way with God. Sometimes I just feel like God's like, oh, you sinned, I'll forgive you. And it's like a machine. I know God's not a forgiving machine. Just bear with me because I'm just airing a lot of my thoughts. But I feel like I can't trust somebody who just forgives me without even caring that I sinned against him. And so I just need to get a better understanding of grace and of the cross. Those are two things I've known for a long time. So what's my question? My question today is, am I the only one like this who finds it hard to trust God or to believe that he's trustworthy because he keeps forgiving me?